Hi guys, welcome to Geeks and Gamers podcast. This week, I'm joined by Dan,
Hello.
joined by Eleanor,
Hi there.
Grady,
Hello.
Paul,
Hey.
Steph,
I totally muted myself then when I said hello.
She did to me.
and finally, I'm joined by Scott.
Good evening.
So this week we're going to be covering a few major things in the TV industry, and I know Scott wants to kick us off because he's got a nice little rant that he wants to put in place. So, Scott, take it away, mate.
Anyone that was paying attention to our Facebook page have already perhaps read some of this. If not, you could maybe check that out for future reference. I've mentioned before, especially after the E3 cast, that I was not E3, Scott, Comic-Con. There's so many cons and things, I'm confused these days. After Comic-Con, I was particularly excited about the arrival of Heroes Reborn, having been a huge fan of the previous Heroes season. I won't go into the merits or the perceptions of Heroes, I'm aware some people hated it, but I loved it. I enjoyed it, and there was such a huge furore made of the new season arriving that it got me quite excited. That was then followed by disappointment because it was quite abundantly clear quickly that most of the preamble was being limited to the American audiences. I mentioned in one podcast previously that they had released this Heroes Reborn app in which you could get access to a mini-series that had been released called Dark Matters. I also mentioned the fact that there were comic books, there were games, etc. coming for it. They were really going all out NBC to make sure that this was going to be a memorable launch for a series that was once so celebrated. So once it became apparent that we were unable in the UK to get any of these things, I became quite annoyed. And through the week there, I quickly realised that Dark Matters was now available on YouTube. So I got quite excited by this until I tried to access it again from the UK site, and once more was told it's not available for your country. So doing what any normal fan would do if you're unable to access it, I accessed a VPN and was able to watch it as if I was in the States. Problem solved. But it got me really irritated in the bigger picture things because there's constantly companies, celebrities, actors, production companies complaining about the fact that piracy exists and there's no way to get around it. And the fact that I was unable to access this stuff got me thinking about that. If I was able to access this material legitimately, I would never have had any insight or any desire to go and find it illegally. If there was a legal way for me to watch it, it would never even have entered my mind. But TV companies make it so difficult for us to access things, and it's especially fans of Game of Thrones, and I guess Eleanor might tackle this in a bit, or indeed Walking Dead. I've already encountered this, where the American audience get such an avenue for spoilers. And it's the same for the fans of Doctor Who that are in the US. We get Doctor Who so quickly before them that they're in the same kind of alternate position where they have to avoid anything from British viewers online in case it's spoiled for them. It was the same when I was watching Flash and Arrow. Despite the fact that these are both held on Netflix, or despite the fact that they're both shown on Sky, or various channels. I don't want to single Sky out, they're obviously not the only ones, but because these providers don't give you an access to backtrack and catch up with things for a full season, it means that we're really left with no option but to rely on these piracy sites to be able to access things that we maybe want to catch up on. And I was so annoyed with the Heroes thing through the week, and I started to look into it a bit further to realise nobody in the UK, no Sky Channel, no Channel 4, none of the BT channels, nobody has picked up Heroes Reborn at all. Eventually, I imagine it'll come to British TV, but for the time being, I dare say if I'm going to want to watch it without having anything spoiled for me, I'm going to have to rely on these formats that allow me to watch it in a less legal manner. And I just find the whole thing quite irritating.
Agreed.
Amen.
Agreed. Are we all would? I've never myself been okay with piracy. I hate it. I hate the idea of downloading things illegally. It just really, it's not just because of the fact that, oh, I'm frightened I might get caught. It's not that. It's I really struggle with the idea because I feel like I'm stealing from someone, which is kind of what we're doing. So are we like of the opinion that if we could buy it, we would watch it here, sort of thing? If we could subscribe, or, you know, if it was on Sky, you'd watch it on Sky, sort of thing. Would people do that?
Well, from my
I know.
perspective,
Oh,
sorry.
sorry. From my opinion, what's annoyed me is Amazon Instant Video. With Arrow, on the American one, you could buy each episode as it went, but with the UK Amazon, you couldn't. So I was forced to go onto an illegal website to watch it, and I don't count it as stealing if the company's not willing to share it with another country as live. I know Sky showed Arrow, but by the time Arrow showed, it was already spoiled on Facebook. So I'm forced to watch it at 3 o'clock in the morning when it's uploaded to said illegal site. And if the company's not willing to time at the same time, then I'd say it's all game for piracy. It's the company's fault why there is piracy.
But
So
if it was made available for
Would
you
I buy
easily,
it?
you would buy it.
Yes,
Yeah.
I would.
So
Yeah.
I've got one point on that. Game of Thrones, as Scott mentioned, Game of Thrones is at the moment one of the biggest piracy TV shows going.
Is it?
Yeah, it hit all records. So what Sky agreed to do with I can't remember the company that makes Game of Thrones in America,
Is it HBO?
possibly.
Yeah.
They decided to allow the customers in the UK to have the exact same time showing. So if you have Sky Atlantic, you can watch Game of Thrones at the same time as it's being shown live in America.
That's what Sky Atlantic was released for, was it not? To combat these sorts of things?
It was kind of
Because I remember Game of Thrones went immediately on Sky Atlantic as soon as that channel was launched.
yeah, it was one of the first things, but it was still like a day behind it.
Yeah.
So, but what they've now done is they put it on at it's 1 o'clock in the morning that it is on, and then as soon as it finishes, it goes on to Sky Go. So you've then got all that time that you can watch it. Now most people are sleeping, then go to work, and then hence why they'll still watch the standard timing. But for those people that are interested in getting it beforehand, they've got that option.
The one thing that annoyed me particularly, and I guess I'm going more to Arrow here than Heroes, I am going to have this same problem with Heroes, and as I say, it was this that triggered the entire line of thought. But when we're discussing Arrow, I didn't pick it up straight away at all. I first discovered it because I noticed it was on Amazon Prime, I think it was we started on. So we have subscriptions to Amazon, to Netflix, to Sky, and to BT, all four of them. Now, it was showing season 3 live on Sky at the time when I started to pick it up, and although we were able to watch season 1 all the way through on Amazon Prime, we got halfway through season 2 before Amazon decided to pull it for some reason. We then got to a point where there was no legitimate way to watch it. So we finished season 2 using an illegal method and thought, well, season 3 is currently showing on Sky, we'll be able to get it on the catch-up. But Sky, in their irritating manner, and I'm not targeting them as a company because a lot of the catch-up companies do the same thing, just it so happens that this was on Sky at the time. But Sky would show you the on catch-up, like the 4 or 5 episodes that led up to the current live one that was shown. There is no legitimate way to start from episode 1 if you've missed the start of that season, unless obviously you miss it near the beginning and you can, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you miss like 18 episodes or whatever have you, you cannot legitimately start from scratch.
That is something that annoys me, I must say, on catch-up TV. Because we did that with Sleepy Hollow when we were still interested in that. And we'd missed a showing in the middle of the season and only just missed it on the catch-up, like of the 4 episodes sort of thing. So it was something like episode 5 that we missed. And we didn't realise until later on, because we don't watch things immediately. We record them and leave them sitting there.
Yeah.
It all gets down to the licensing rights and how long the company allows the distributing company to hold it for.
Aye, because some of them disappear from your box as well if you've recorded them. It'll say, this disappears on blah, 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 like 1 month away or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, I grew up in a country where that you couldn't actually get legit DVDs or anything. It was all pirated. God bless you, Middle East. And so, like, piracy, I don't find it bothers me that much. Because it's, I grew up with it. To me, it's like perfectly fine. It's fair game. If you can get it for free, go ahead with it, sort of thing. And, Arrow, now I've watched it, I'm going to go back and buy it. Because I did buy season 2 to watch. And then season 3, I'm like, well, watch it now. I'm not going to go back and buy it to rewatch it. I will use said illegal site for it. And that's the same with anything, really. If I can't watch it live after... I got a Netflix, Amazon, and Now TV subscription. If I can't find it on there, I'm just gonna pirate it. It doesn't bother me.
See, I'm the
If,
kind of person who hears that irritating music from that advert on DVDs going dum 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 dum. Piracy is a crime. That's all I hear when I think about stuff like this.
To be fair, I was a massive pirate until I got a job, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna clean up my act. And to be fair, I've not pirated, like for over a year, like almost 2 years now, 3 years now. But I will, if I can't watch something on TV, I will just go on the website and stream it. I don't feel any guilt or anything for doing it.
I'm still crying myself to sleep over the whole Doctor Who situation.
What else don't you get as, like, because you get everything first, Grady. What else is it that we have that you can't get?
To be honest, it's not a good question to ask me because I don't watch much.
Most BBC produced things are in the same boat as Doctor Who, so I think like Whitechapel, for example, Luther don't show at the same time. Ripper Street,
Top Gear.
Top Gear
Ripper
even.
Street. I was
Yeah.
in Loughborough when they were recording that. I saw Jerome. Jerome. What's his face? From
Jerome,
Game
what's
of
his
Thrones.
face?
Yeah, Jerome Flynn, isn't
We
it?
all know Jerome.
Yeah.
What's his face?
Yeah. I shouted his name really excitedly, and then he just glared at me and walked off.
So let me present a scenario for you, Eleanor, because you've obviously just said that you're particularly against piracy.
Yes.
I don't want this to develop into a spoiler discussion because I'm aware we're going to cover that at a later point. But say, for example, The Walking Dead has been released. It's going to go onto BT. So as
The Fear of the
sh-
Walking
unless-
Dead.
Yeah,
Fear
Fear
of the
Goes
Walking
on
Dead.
Sunday.
So as a sideshow, obviously, as a Walking Dead fan, it's something you'd be interested in. I know you don't have a BT subscription. Will you watch that via an illegal method, or will you just avoid it until it comes out on DVD, trying to avoid all potential spoilers?
To be honest, I am not a person who accidentally stumbles on a lot of news, spoilers, or anything. I mean, to be honest, it was news to me that North Korea were having trouble. Like, people at work can't understand how I don't know what goes on in the world, let alone whether I'm spoiling things on television programs and stuff. So I'll probably not know what the hell went on, other than a couple of screenshots that look a bit cool, and I'll then probably just buy it on DVD.
Okay.
I do not like piracy at all. I mean, if other people are going to do that, that's fine. I'm not going to judge you, whatever. I just don't like doing it. If Paul's watching something and I don't realise until like halfway through, I don't want to watch it. I don't let him watch anything that we watch together via legal means. I just don't like it.
Even if
think
there's
Dan's
absolutely
good
no way
goal.
for you to pick it up again. So say you've been watching a series and there's another season around the corner that isn't available on Sky, that they haven't uploaded yet, or weren't going to upload. Would you never consider it if
Nope,
you've
never.
already paid your subscription to Sky? You just, I'm sorry, I keep picking on Sky. I don't mean to hear, Paul. If you had access to that, if you pay your money legally but had no way to access it through that legal medium, do you still view it in the same way?
There's plenty of other things for me to watch. I don't like the idea of piracy at all. I can't
So
stand it.
even if The Walking Dead got pulled from UK TV, you would not watch it?
Well, it'd come out on DVD.
If it wasn't going to get released ever in the UK?
That would never happen. There's too many fans. It would never happen.
I'm going to jump in. I know Dan wants to jump in as well, but
Yeah.
I've got a couple of points. I've bit my tongue up to this point, so
Alright.
obviously I have to be honest. I completely agree with everything that Scott said. If there's no legal way to watch it, then why should you watch it? Why shouldn't you watch it illegally? And in the sense of, I'm one of these people who, if I watch something on Netflix or Now TV, Amazon, whichever, I've got all of those, and I find something and I like it, I end up getting like the DVD or the Blu-ray for it. So in essence, it's the same with when I watch something illegally. I'll still go out and I'll buy the Blu-ray or the DVD if I enjoyed the series or whatever, because then I've got it there. And in essence, I'm still paying my money to the producers. It's just I've had to wait till the end of it before I can give them any money. It's the same as, if you ever
But what if you were watching something that you didn't like?
watching something I didn't like, why does it deserve my cash?
Okay, fair enough.
I got the
Yeah.
point, Eleanor. Just a quick question. Your complaint with piracy has to do with you feel like you're stealing a product and costing a company money that you should otherwise support through legal means. But if they don't provide you any way to pay them anyway, then not enjoying the content doesn't help them either.
You make a valid point, you do, but nothing has ever affected me so badly like that I would ever turn to illegal means to watch it. What I've recently got frustrated about is the fact that back when Sky was a bit crap and the movies weren't really, you had crap ones on during the day and then you got the good one on at 8 o'clock at night or whatever, back in those days, years ago now, there was these certain few films that I watched that I loved, and they were American films that weren't really very well known, didn't have really well known actors in them. One was about gymnastics and one was about a teen dad or something like that, right? I can't find them on DVD anywhere in the UK, and even if I go on Amazon, they're only displaying Region 1 imports. So I haven't got the capabilities, although maybe the Xbox One lets you. I don't know. But that annoyed me because I couldn't then buy it to watch it because my DVD player would not play it. That's the only thing that's got me close to being annoyed, but then that's just because I wanted to own the DVD rather than anything else.
I think actually that leads on quite nicely to something that's actually happened to my mother-in-law recently. She started watching something on Amazon Prime. I think it's called The Amazing Race, where basically I think people race around the globe for a pot of cash.
Yeah.
You know, I've never watched it myself, but she started watching it on season 20. So she watched like 20, 21, 22 on Amazon. And then she was like, you know, is there any way I can get hold of it? So we had a look around Amazon. We had a look, you know, wherever you could get hold of a DVD, and everything was a Region 1 import. It seems that anything between season 1 and 20 wasn't viewable in the UK. And when you go to have a look for it online to watch it by non-legal measures, there's nowhere to find it online either.
But with
So,
DVDs, I know as a fact,
you
'cause
know,
I do own a Region 1 DVD, you can set your PC to read Region 1, you can get software for it, and
Yeah.
you can program a DVD player to read Region 1 DVDs.
Which is not
We bought
illegal by any
no.
means, really, is it?
No.
We bought a crappy DVD player back when we started uni, actually, so 2004, 2005. Before that, yeah, so maybe around about just at the turn of the century, 2002, 2003, we bought this crappy DVD player. They were probably about 20 quid each, maybe 30 quid each. Completely crap from Argos, but they play everything. All regions unlocked. It was an Alba DVD player. We still have it, and it means we can play any region DVD on it, and it cost us next to nothing. Whereas I think about 10 years later, 10 years is maybe an exaggeration, 5 years later, you know, they were advertising multi-region DVD players for hundreds of pounds.
Yeah.
Call that lucking out, I guess.
Here's a question, right? I always remember us being taught in high school that the reason that America was different from the UK and Europe is because of the number of lines on the television or whatever, and it was programmed differently in America, and the power was different or whatever. But surely nowadays, when we don't have vacuum tubes in the TVs anymore, and it's all flat screen TVs and OLEDs and all that sort of stuff, why do we need different regions anymore? Is that a stupid question? I don't really understand it properly, but
Money.
yeah, okay.
All goes down to money. Well, how can you make the most money? All right, make different regions, make people pay more, you know. So that's what I quite like about the Xbox One. It's region free, so I can get a game from America and play it. Comes to DVDs, nope. And what I don't understand,
it's not region free on DVDs.
No, I tried it, but that's what I don't understand. It's like the Xbox One's proved you can have region free video games, and then it comes along to DVDs, and no, you're not allowed.
Dan, what are your thoughts?
Alright, I do pirate from time to time. The only reason I do it though is basically because I don't have the money to go out and buy all the new Blu-rays and all of the new games and all of that crap. Basically here in Ireland, the VAT rates have gone up to like 30% in the past year, and of course, as you can imagine, that's brought up the price of video games to €75, and the price of Blu-rays to nearly 30. And I think that it's basically, am I going to sit around and let someone spoil the film for me, or have it spoiled on Facebook? a film or game, or am I going to do something about it and enjoy it so it doesn't get spoiled, and then delete the file from my computer and then just forget about it? And I think I'm picking the lesser of two evils, but of course everyone might not agree with that. But well, for me, it all comes down to money, and at the moment, I do not have a lot of money.
I don't have a lot of money either, Dan. But I don't like piracy at all. I managed to avoid things without having to try too hard to avoid them. I specifically don't have conversations with people about something I don't want to know about.
But if you think about that, it's with the volume of groups that we're in, and because they're so geek related, comic book, film, game related.
If you're that bothered, you could just leave the groups. We have our own group here that we talk to, so.
Well, I know as a fact, The Walking Dead got spoiled for me one episode. I was watching it legit as well on Now TV. I was like, I'm gonna sit here, I'm gonna wait for it and watch it. And then someone posted a spoiler up from America, one of my friends, and I was like, really?
To be fair, AMC got a massive bashing on Facebook because they let a death slip before the UK had a chance to watch it.
Yeah, no, I saw that as well, and I'm like, even if the company's spawned it, so I ended up watching it at 2 o'clock in the morning when the episode went on the legal site, and I'm like, I was gonna watch it legit, but I don't want to see spoilers, and you can't avoid it. I've like spent a whole day on Facebook, and then someone texts me, "Oh, have you seen it?" I'm like, really?
See, honestly, I've never encountered this problem before. When Scott was going on about don't spoil Arrow, and when everyone else has gone on about don't spoil this, don't spoil that, I never accidentally come upon spoilers ever for anything that I watch. I must be lucky.
You're very lucky. I come upon spoilers, but then there's been times where I've actively looked out. I am in the process of trying to avoid everything to do with Civil War. It's becoming quite difficult.
I don't know anything about Civil War.
I've left
like
12
sides.
I've left 12 groups and pages so that I've not seen anything.
The closest I've come to have anything being spoiled is when someone's watching Game of Thrones and we're watching it on catch up, maybe 20 minutes behind, and they've gone, oh, and that's it. And then you know just something good's coming. That's the closest I've ever had to a spoiler.
Lucky.
The one thing I would say, I've most of what I've mentioned so far has been in relation to TV. I tend not to, and I've done it occasionally, I'm not going to pretend I'm wholly innocent here, but when it comes to movies, I tend not to watch pirated versions of movies online. As I say, I'm not entirely innocent. There are a couple of instances where I've done it, but for the most part, I prefer that experience to going to the cinema. I mean, I've got the the Black Unlimited card here in the UK, which, for anyone that doesn't know and is interested, the Cineworld chain offer an unlimited card. I think you pay 16 quid a month it is.
We're totally going to do that when we're loaded, Scott. Because of you.
You go to the cinema as much as you want, and if you're a fan of films, it's a great way to do it. And the amount of effort and money that goes into making these films that we love, I feel it's right to go to the cinema and watch the film as it's meant to be watched and enjoyed. As I say, I've occasionally done it in the past where if Cineworld, for example, don't carry a specific film that I want to see. I think the last example of this was Iceman. I went to the point of watching it via another mean. Despite the fact that I do pay that 16 quid a month, I don't feel that entitles me to be able to watch every single film that's out there. And I would rather buy the DVD in that instance. However, there's no sort of live element attached to it, so there's less chance of it being spoiled. It's easier to avoid things for a film than it is for, say, a TV, because you need to watch it with a much quicker uptake. You need to make sure that you're constantly on top of the episodes and keeping on top of them like that. For a film, it's a little bit easier to maybe stay away from it. Granted, I have had films spoiled from me in the past as well, but for the most part, I tend not to do it with cinema.
I actually never really pirated films ever, which is a shock. But no, I'm like Scott. I either go to cinema or I'll just buy the DVD.
Yeah, I mean, you forget about the film even being in the cinema if you don't go immediately, and then you just get it when the DVD comes out.
Yeah.
Well, to me, it's down to quality. At the end of the day, you know, pirated versions of films tend to be crap.
Yeah.
It's different for TV.
Yeah, but if it's a film, why not just buy the DVD? If you can't afford Blu-ray, then why don't you just buy a DVD for £10? So that's what that's why I didn't pirate films. Cause I'm like, I can pick it up for 10 if I wanted to, or I
wait
can
a
watch
little
it in
bit
cinema.
and you get it for 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't really tend to get that with films.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Films you'll always be able to get legitimately. It's TV programs that are on for a certain specific amount of time that you then cannot get access to afterwards.
Building on what folk have said about the access to TV shows and spoilers and so on, you're all going to think that I'm like the least geeky person ever now, but you all know my horrible addiction to Emmerdale and Coronation Street. If you do not catch up with them on the night they are shown, you will have spoilers. But then it's not really a spoiler I care about because I'm going to know about it anyway, and then it's going to be in the past. It's like someone living in the street away from you. Like,
you're too dedicated to that.
Well, you saw my reaction to tonight's Emmerdale, so you know. And then when I realised, I'm so glad I didn't read any of the news articles about
the thing that was happening.
Well, my favourite character in Emmerdale was just found recently in a coma in hospital, and I thought he was dead, and I was so happy he wasn't dead. But you know, there you go. Emmerdale, it's great.
I think with soaps though, it's a slightly different story in the fact that British press tend to cover a lot of what's actually going to happen weeks to months in advance. Like some major storyline coming out is, you know about said storyline at least 3 weeks before it airs on the telly because you've got people behind on the set, you know, that are writing these down and allowing these so-called spoiler leaks
because they go
to
in the
actually
TV
happen.
mags coming soon
Exactly.
this week. Yeah,
exactly. So
and
I think soaps.
It's the surprise storylines that just pop out and you think, oh my god, did that just happen?
Yeah,
that you
so
never
soaps,
know about.
I think, are definitely very different to the sort of things, you know, like Flash, Arrow, etc.
Yeah.
But I do, obviously, going on with the soaps and stuff, I know most of them are only held for so many episodes again, you know. So, for example, obviously, we went away back in April, going on May. Well, it was majority of May, to be fair. And by the time we got back, you know, the soaps that my other half had normally watched, you couldn't watch the first sort of week's worth because they'd already been removed because we went away for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Obviously, we didn't go looking for them because it wasn't that bad with the soap, but you know,
because that's the beauty of soap. So you don't, I mean, unless it's a really, really specific episode where there's tons of deaths because there's a tragedy or whatever, you don't really need to know what's going on because you pick it up.
Yeah, but I think it's the sort of more dramas and things like that are only that short amount of time. And the thing is, some storylines can really get you hooked, and if you're really interested in it, and then the company then don't have it.
Well, I saw you with Person of Interest.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Person of Interest was fantastic. I would
I've still
recommend
not
that to anyone
from
listening.
Season 4, episode 10 yet.
But once again, not available to watch on legal means, certainly the last season at the moment.
It is going to Netflix.
It is on Netflix.
Not
it has
4.
arrived on Netflix.
You know, the whole piracy thing, I think it's down to what interest you've got as well. Because I know, like, you know, the big shows like Arrow, Game of Thrones, etc., they will be spoiled. And it feels like you must watch it, like, on the day sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I think the way for a company to resolve that is doing what Sky Atlantic are doing. And that's, you got an opportunity to watch it at the same time as America. And I'll be willing to stay up at 3 o'clock in the morning to watch, you know, Walking Dead or something, so I don't get it spoiled. And I think if every company had that sort of
ethic.
Yeah, well, you know, they release it at the same times. I don't think we'll have as much of a problem with piracy, apart from those who just want to get free stuff. But, you know, I would actually, you know, Arrow, I did pay for 1 season, and I think if Amazon Instant Video did this episode's been aired, straight away released, on Amazon Instant Video, I would have bought it. You know, I like being more legit about it, but, you know, you feel forced into a corner with certain TV shows, like, yes, you must stream it illegally in order not to get it spoiled for you, because it's nothing more annoying than someone posting a spoiler.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn my rage away from Sky a little bit here towards Amazon, actually. They can share some of the blame. So I've already mentioned the problem that I had with them with Arrow, which was where we started watching it. But there are several shows that my wife and I both watched that we ended up getting really quite hooked on. So we started watching Castle because it was on Amazon. And we got so far through one of the seasons only to discover that one day they decided to pull it from their service. I don't understand the reason behind it, and of course Amazon are notoriously difficult to get a hold of customer service wise, so I have no idea why. It also happened with Frasier. They had every single season of Frasier made available online. I'm aware Frasier's an old show, and to be honest, there was never going to be an issue with spoilers for me. I know most of the story of Frasier. But being able to go back and watch it from the start again was going to be such a magical experience. I think we got through about 4 seasons maybe, and we were really enjoying it. And again, out of nowhere, it was pulled. No explanation, just that sometimes they have to shuffle around and pull things. And it wasn't even there for that long. You pay your money to watch these things, you get hooked on a show, and then all of a sudden it disappears. Yeah, sorry,
Do they
Amazon.
not
It's not
even
particularly...
put a time limit on it? Kind of like how
No.
Sky say this will be pulled soon.
No, Amazon doesn't do that.
That's a
Netflix
bit
does
crap.
it.
No, Amazon does do it, but only to some of their top watch stuff or
Yeah.
things that you are currently watching, and you say you're halfway through a season that's going to be pulled. I had it with because I share my Amazon with the in-laws. They were watching Hawaii 5-0, and I think they were on something like season 3, and it was stating that seasons 1 to 3 were going to be pulled in the next, on such and such a date. Make sure you finish watching it by then. But that's the only one and only time I think I've ever had an email off them stating that a thing is going to be pulled. Now, before I hand back to somebody else, I've got a couple of little tangents I want to go on. Yes, we use the phrase tangents. First one is obviously going back to talking about watching something by legal means. Obviously something that's really got my goat up today that I found out. Obviously before, when we spoke in a podcast, we were on about how I couldn't get a DVD to work on Windows 10. I tried doing the same thing today because my eldest really wanted to watch Jurassic Park on the laptop. So I put my disc in and it kept saying no disc found, no disc found. Even though the disc was in there, I tried it with probably 7 or 8 different DVDs, so I know it's not the disc drive or the disc. But basically I decided to search up on the internet. It says that Windows DVD player was now available on the App Store. And, available for purchase. I thought, great, I'll go and have a look. £11.24 I think it was.
Jesus, that's
Wow.
extortion.
To make PC play a DVD, you've got to pay an extra £11.24.
That's
If that's not
crazy.
something to tear you away from a legal way of watching something, then what is? Would you rather pay £11.24 to watch the stuff you've got on DVD, or hop online and find it in 5 seconds?
You've bought the DVDs.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that's Windows for you and Microsoft.
Ah.
Exactly.
Doesn't the
sec-
Xbox play DVDs?
Yeah.
Yes.
it does, but at this point, me and my youngest were playing Jurassic World, and
Okay.
my eldest wanted to watch Jurassic Park on the laptop. So, yes, it will work on your Xbox, but obviously, if you want to watch something, on your laptop, don't expect to do it cheaply. Second thing I want to talk about is actually going back to The Walking Dead. I would have thought that Eleanor, seeing as you were quite a fan of The Walking Dead, would have picked up on this, but AMC actually said The Walking Dead, at their Comic-Con panel actually stated that after obviously the big fallout with the whole death and the Americans speaking about it before we got the chance to even watch the episode, they have now stated that all episodes where it airs in other countries will be shown within 24 hours of its American viewing.
They already do that.
Yeah, they do that on Fox.
Not in every country. On
Oh, yeah,
Fox, yes. But now they've come out and they've stated every single channel that
Yeah, but
airs The Walking Dead will
I-
air it within 24 hours.
I don't think 24 hours is good enough though, because America will get it first, and then someone will spoil it, and then it'll be the same problem It'll be the same problem we've been getting in the UK with spoilers.
So
Well, it's true.
here's something. They've got Fox now. Fox is available to anybody to pick up and buy, which is absolutely fine. As in, when I say pick up and buy, I mean in the companies. So Virgin, TalkTalk, BT.
Oh, that's
sorry,
what you mean.
not BT. So Sky, Virgin, TalkTalk. I can't remember if there's anybody else that can pick it up. But the issue that we've got is that AMC have made a deal because primarily the company's just throwing money at anything to try and compete with, and it's Sky TV. But why make it a particular channel not available to everybody? There is an option to purchase, and I'm going to get on to Sky about this as well, because they do that with Sky Atlantic. Sky Atlantic's only available on Sky. A spin-off series that's been done by the AMC for Fear of the Walking Dead, it should be available to everybody, because it's already a show that's out.
They're severely limiting their audience by making it go to someone else.
Yeah.
And then everyone who is really, really interested, I mean, I still won't do it because I'm that kind of person, but I know a lot of people will watch it by illegal means because they're so hooked. Because it's one of those shows that you have to know what's happening. Is it like the comics? Is it not like the comics? How did this all happen? That sort of thing. People will want to know.
So, like, guys, how much is BT? You two, Luke and Scott said that you've got BT. How much is your BT subscription? For the
TV Element's free. I mean, we pay for the internet and pay for the phone line, but the actual TV part comes as free for the Freeview. That doesn't include some kind of still subscription-based channels you can get, especially movies and stuff. But I mean, even the unlimited broadband comes with the free sports channels. So
well,
it's pretty good value.
I'm going to say, Scott, actually, I was looking that up the other day. They've actually started dubbing down the sports package for free users.
I think you pay for it now if you want the HD version, but if you're happy with the standard version, it still remains free.
It's also certain competitions you won't see as well. Like, I think Premier League you're fine, UEFA Cup you're fine, Champions League I believe you have to upgrade your subscription for.
Okay.
I believe. But yeah, as Scott was saying, basically it's the TV is free as long as you want the Freeview. If you want the other channels, like obviously, and I believe Fox is in the BT lot. I'm sure it is.
Yeah,
if you want those channels, then you're going to have to start paying a subscription. I think it starts at about £10 a month, give or take. But I don't know. I had it once, and I don't know if it's still the same now, where they actually used to stream you those channels through the internet. So even though you had a UView box and you could record, you couldn't record any internet-based channels. You could only ever use it on the Freeview side of it.
I don't know if you remember this, but both Xbox and PlayStation announced that they'd have their own media providing service coming out next year with PlayStation View and what was it? The Xbox, what's it called?
The Xbox DVR.
Yeah, that. Anyway, I'm saying it. What if the Sony and Microsoft allow you to watch the American channels through your Xbox and PlayStation Live?
But we currently don't get this media that they already provide for the Americans on the Xbox.
That's one thing actually that I think both me and Scott picked up on after E3 after watching Sony, where the PlayStation View, is it? I think it's called, actually has a great idea with the fact that you can just subscribe to one channel instead of having to have a bundle. So, for example, I think I don't know what channel it is in America, but the channel that hosts both Arrow and Flash, I think, is it the CW? Yeah. So if you wanted just that particular channel, you could have that particular channel. Or if you wanted, obviously, whatever, Fox, you could just have Fox. You don't have to subscribe to a whole bunch of it, which is something that really puts me off actually buying something like Sky and having a monthly subscription for that when I've got Netflix and Now TV and that other stuff already. Because, during the day, my kids have my TV. I'm not going to sit there during the day and watch the television. The kids have got it. So at night, it comes down to, we've got this show, we've got that show, we've got this show that we like to watch. But generally, most of them can be found through legal means. So why, should you have to subscribe to a whole package when you can only subscribe to one channel where possible? And I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, it's always been the sort of look at pick and choose channels. Like Sky done it for a few years, where you could pick your individual packages to have. So you would have sort of a kids package, you would have all different individual ones. You would have a starting pack, and then you'd only add each other one on for £1. Whereas that model didn't really work, and it seems to have went back to you've now got a collection or a slightly bigger collection, or absolutely everything. It's a case of people don't overall want to have that individual show. There is those that are diehard fans like ourselves. We just want these specific shows. But the general masses, they want a full package. They don't want a pick and choose service.
Do they?
Yeah.
Do they? Has that? Obviously, I know you work at Sky. Just in case anyone didn't know, Paul works at Sky. But the question is, was it statistically proven that people didn't want it like that? People want these bundles, or is it the fact that maybe the company was losing money because they weren't selling out all the channels?
No, because the thing is, they didn't gain any money by having it on, like, just selling it at £1 anyway. On the basic package, the money comes from the sports and the movies. So these two entities are still separated, and they are basically, you can buy them individually, you can buy them together, and then have the basic packages. If we had, it was something like 95% of the company base had, I think it was 4 of the particular packages on the basic channels that were excluding sports and movies. And it was a case of, well, why are we holding all these different individual packages if nobody's actually wanting to keep that secure? So they've changed back to an original model that was in place to have all the channels.
Okay, that's fair enough. I personally, though, myself, obviously, like you said earlier, I'm more of a diehard, so I know which channels I'd want, should the opportunity ever arise.
Yeah.
In that sense, though, going back to something, obviously I'm going on another tangent again, because it was something I said I was going to explain earlier, I never actually got round to, was obviously regarding piracy rules here in the UK. It was announced last year that eventually it will pass where piracy will no longer be a criminal offence, instead it will become a civil offence. Therefore, you won't actually be thrown behind bars for downloading or distributing or watching illegal television, movies or music, for example. Basically, the way that they were going to work it is that if your ISP, your internet service provider, decide that they found you watching said blacklisted stuff on site, they would send you a letter, and they were allowed to send you up to 2 letters a year stating where you could find the stuff, legally, and suggest that you move towards that. That was basically the give and take of it. Now, when that's going to come in, that was meant to come in beginning of this year. Obviously, it's been pushed back and pushed back and pushed back, and I haven't heard anything from it for a while. So whether it will happen or not, still, I don't know. But, that's basically the way it's teetering, is the fact that the problem is, as we started the podcast, there is very limited legal ways to watch a hell of a lot of things, and therefore TV companies, movie producers, all that sort of stuff are struggling to fight piracy because they're not being able to distribute it far and wide enough to stop piracy from happening. So therefore, I think they're starting to accept, okay, piracy is a problem, and it's something that's not going to go away unless we can find a way around it. And I think, to be fair, all the boffins at the head of these big companies like BT, Sky, all the channel boffins and stuff like that, they all need to basically get in a room, like a NATO summit, and just discuss how they can sort it out, and how they could stream legally to other countries so people didn't have this need to find an illegal way of doing it.
Yeah.
So on that note, I think it's about time to wrap up for this week. We hope that you've enjoyed our discussion on piracy and the legal ways to watch television. Don't be a pirate.
Arr.
I'm a tracker pirate. Arr. Our proper job that. Arr. I pirated all my apples from the field across the road. Arr. But yeah, no. On that note, let's wrap it up for this week. If you've got any questions, anything you want to add, just leave us a comment.
And you want to arrest Dan, feel free. We'll give you his address.
Do us a favor.
Right. Before the insults fly anymore, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter or whatever. I don't know what it counts as on Twitter. Is it a follow? Yes, it is a follow, isn't it? Yeah, so follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook. Wherever we put this up, whether it be YouTube or somewhere else that you're listening to it, then, drop a comment down below if you want. And, just keep in touch with us, and stuff you say we'll try and incorporate into podcasts in the future. So, it's a good night, goodbye, and good morning from me, and I'll let everyone else sign themselves off.
Catch you later.
May the force set you free.
Cheers, guys.
Have a good week,
have
everyone.
a good one.
Oh, it's time for this ship to sail, guys. See you, mateys.
Keeping up with pirate theme. Yo ho ho and a bottle of rum.
Yarr.